Hello, everyone. This is Tommy at World at War Comics. Another amazing show. But before we get into it, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. That really helps out the channel and allows us to bring more interviews of comic creators, writers, artists, and everything in between. All right, without further ado, we have Courtney and Bryan. They are the artists and writers of a new comic called the Atonement Saga, which will be out in 2024. They also are writing that under their own publishing company called Arkaik Comics. It sounds like it's going to be amazing, but if you don't know how to make a comic book or everything that goes into it, this is a great podcast for you. You're going to hear all the back and forth of creating comics and really how difficult it is, but what a passion that usually is driving that comic book. And you could definitely see that in Courtney and Bryan. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming these two gentlemen as we talk comics. All right, everyone, have a great week. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. We got two amazing guests today. We got Courtney Jones and we got Bryan Vreeland. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Can't wait to dig into all the things that you guys are doing on your new comic book.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, great to have you. So I got pretty excited. I started back and forth with Courtney about, I don't know, maybe a week ago, Courtney, maybe not even that long. And then he introduced me via TikTok to Bryan. This is the two-man duo for the Atonement Saga, a new comic book coming sometime this year, right? I know you guys are
I don't know. Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Hey, man, I made a mistake on my own comic book saying it'll be out in February. And then it's like March, like it'll be out at the end of March. And finally, I said it's coming in 2023. So I want to be really careful that I don't put you guys in a corner on a date. That first one is always the toughest, but super excited to go through the process and to hear where you're at. And then to be able to relate, because I think there's a lot of folks out there that have a passion for comics that want to create their own comic book. I think they need to know that it's not as simple as coming up with an idea, man. So
no, it is not.
So maybe we'll start with each of you. Maybe Bryan, we'll start with you. Let's just talk. Let's just go way back, right? When did the passion for comic books start, Bryan? And then we'll go to you, Courtney, after that.
Well, art came first. So my mom was a single mom.
Yeah.
Something for her she could do to help distract me from other parts of the world. So she tried to do a little bit of drawing.
Yeah.
My mom was good, not the greatest, but she was a mom. She tried.
Yeah, yeah.
She had a few people in her life that were a little artistic. Kind of got my hands on a little bit of an old Conan comic book from that guy. He kind of showed me how to do barbarians. You know, growing up in the 80s, a lot of your heroes are Schwarzenegger, so they're muscles. They're men in the 80s, you know, the action heroes. Everyone's got muscles. So it was really easy to go into that Conan book a little bit, look at it. She married somebody down the road, and the uncle for me was a big collector of comics. And he had a couple books, and he's like, you know what? I think you're really like this book. And he had me an Uncanny X-Men book with Jim Lee during like the Skrull series. And I was like, that was it. There's the hook. I was like, because I'm a big detail person, I like a lot of lines, a lot of value in those shadows and the shading you get from that. Yeah. So that's where I kind of started that. I started looking at it, and like as a kid, you're still trying to find yourself as your style, your technique. So I did a lot of like taking Jim Lee's picture, redrawing it again. How do you draw this thigh? How do you draw this wrist? Why is it like this? Yeah. Very much. You'll see a lot of image stuff on my artwork, and kind of like thinking Courtney's too. He's a big image guy too. We kind of grew up in that era. So, but for me, it's a lot of detail work, a lot of lines, and maybe unnecessary lines. But I want to give people that read my stuff, look at my stuff, or read the book value for what you're getting. You're paying hard money for it. I want to give you value that I got from those artists when I got collecting comic books. Yeah. But that Uncanny X-Men, no, that was the thing that started the whole thing. And it became like every day. And I became like spending money, birthday money, Christmas money on comic books. I'm spending, like going to get a full-time job, dropping $400 a month at the comic shop with like between the 90s, like with Image, I was grabbing 30 titles a month plus.
Yeah, yeah.
I
think that's a really good start of your experience in comic books as Jim Lee on Uncanny X-Men, man. I think a lot of people got hooked.
Yeah, and then I kind of follow them. So most of my do comic books, I kind of follow artists. Being an artist myself, and that's why I kind of like, unfortunately for writers, it's not good for them. But that's where I kind of am in the comic book world, and I kind of just love that aspect of it, that you can get your art out there. People fall in love with your style, follow you in that aspect as well.
That's awesome, man. How about you, Courtney? When did your passion for comics start?
Man, like years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I didn't. I always drew, drew stuff that I saw. I used to where I'll put a piece of paper down. I'll have something and I'll draw it, not
Yeah.
trace it, but draw it. And so I have a lot of, I guess, artistic people in my family. You know,
Mhm.
it starts from my dad, which I found out not too long ago. He's artistic, not autistic.
Yeah.
Artistic.
I was thinking in my mind when Bryan said that, I'm like, just everybody he said
So,
artistic.
yeah. My aunt, I remember when I was younger, she wanted me to go there's this big school here in Milwaukee called Myad. It's some people love it, but it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And at the time, they liked my art, you know, and so I thought at first I was all hyped about going, but then they didn't have a degree program. Now they do, but they didn't. And so my stupid butt was like, oh, I'm okay. I'm not gonna do it. So, but when it came to art with comics is when I was younger. Like you said with Jim Lee, 100%. I love Jim Lee. My favorite comic book artist is Jim Lee. I don't care what nobody says. Freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm going to see him in September, I believe. Yeah, at somewhere in I can't remember, but I'm going to see him in September. Anyways,
Ohio, right? It's Ohio.
yeah, Ohio. Yeah.
Was the Comic-Con in Ohio?
Yeah. And so it was with like Bryan was stating, like a lot of those comics. I didn't even know about comic the guys who did the art. I just loved the art. And then once I started getting the comic books, then I started paying attention to different artists. And the ones that stood out at the time was Jim Lee to me.
Yeah.
And also there's what's his name? I know
Rob
Jim Lee
Liefeld.
works with him. What's
Probably
his name?
Todd McFarlane.
Liefeld.
He likes a
Yep,
lot of
Liefeld or
stuff.
Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
And I saw his stuff. And it was a lot of him, actually. It was a lot of X-Force that he did, Deadpool. I remember that. And then it was Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. I loved this Spider-Man. I loved how he did with like Spider-Man and Venom. And then he made Spawn.
Yeah.
The dude who made The Darkness, but that was a little bit after. But I loved his work.
Mark
Yeah.
Silvestri.
And there's Joe Mad, love his stuff. Like, and it was just more and more. It was some other people. Adam Hughes. Wait, is it Adam Hughes or I can't remember his name. Is it Adam Hughes? Yeah. So it's a lot of them that I look at and I see them do their art, and I kind of like stop drawing because it's like it's so hard when you draw something that you think is great, and then you see Jim Lee and like you know, and you throw it out. But eventually I stopped doing that. When I started to, I had like I remodeled this room and I found a comic book, or no, a storyline that I wanted to send to Dark Horse Comics. And it was like when I was maybe in my 20s or 50s. I thought of it when I was 15, but then I stopped. And then the idea came full blown when I was in my 20s. I wrote this whole thing up and I was about to send it to Dark Horse, but I got scared or something. So I sent them an email, and then they responded to the email and said, well, we can't accept stuff if you don't work for us. So I didn't send them. I just put it in an envelope and put it up. But when I remodeled this room, I found it and I started doing the art on it again. And I said, I'll just do it myself because the storyline was so good that I made up. And so I did it, and the art was looking like it was better, you know, than before for some reason, you know. And then all of a sudden I had stopped doing it. I got in touch with this comic book artist named Saya Ohm. I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but she's really good. And she gave me like tips. I was surprised. She got back to me on Facebook. She gave me some tips on things. And then I started doing stuff, and I found this old team that's part of the Atonement Saga now. And then I found the old comic that I did, like it was just a few pages, and I decided to redo it. And when I redid it, it came out really good. So I started to just bring ideas that I had when I was younger, and there it is, right there. Yeah.
Courtney, when did the Atonement Saga start to really gain some traction, and then you partnered with Bryan, and things kind of got rolling?
So the Atonement Saga, when I found that old comic page, I was working with like buddies of mine. I wrote this whole story. I said, create you some characters, then I'm gonna put the characters into this story. And when I did it, it somehow stopped, but I kept going with the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found it, started drawing up on the page, and then I said, you know what, maybe I should redo this story. Mm-hmm. And then that's when characters started to develop, and then all of a sudden I revamped the whole story and changed it, made a new character who I love to death, and Bryan knows who it is. It's a character I love to death, and is the main antagonist of the story. Yeah. So it started getting traction. I want to say a couple of weeks before I met Bryan. Oh, because I met Bryan at a Comic-Con, and I was there to see. To be honest, I was there to see how my art stacked up with other people's art there. Yeah. To see if not trying to do a competition and say I'm better. No, just to see if I could be there, you know?
Right.
And when I saw different people's art, I was like, I can do this, you know? I think my art is good enough. Yeah. This one guy, he gave me his card. He saw something I did. And he was like, yo, this is really good, man. And started talking to me, and then we exchanged numbers or something, but I don't think I ever caught the guy. Because I still was kind of like weirded out. But after that Comic-Con, I spoke with Bryan. I met a lady from Silver Age Comics, mm-hmm. and then 2 guys from Image. And I was just talking to these guys and seeing what they were saying. And I was just like taking it all in. And I decided right then and there that it's full blown. I'm not taking no steps away. I'm just going full blast with it right after that. And it was crazy because I was doing some pencils, and I was like, man, I really need an inker. Like, I can ink, but I'm not the greatest. Like, to me, it's just as much as skill for inking than with penciling, you know? And you develop certain ways that I'll pencil. I develop certain things, you know, to make it look good to me. And inking is the same way. And I had to sit down and do it, and I just didn't want to take the time to do it. I was very hyped about this comic, especially when the story has like gained hold, and it started to make like a lot of sense, the story and the characters. So I was looking for an inker, and I found Bryan. I didn't know his name. I didn't know it was Bryan though. And I said, I called him. I was talking to him on the phone. I was like, man, this guy sounds so familiar.
Like so familiar. So many stories.
Yeah. And my wife was sitting there when I was talking on the phone. Me and Bryan, we talked for like an hour or two, maybe, at the first time. And I was like, man, you sound familiar.
His wife's rolling her eyes like, oh my God, guys, come on. Hurry up, let's go. And we're just 2 guys, like Image guys, just talking and shooting this shit around a little bit. But that love of the comic experience, I shared my Jim Lee story with him, a Mark Silvestri story I had from cons, and how that resonates with me and how I want to be that creator that puts it back to the fans, because that's what the experience I got from those guys. And then it was like this click we had, like, this guy's cool. I can work with this guy if you want something like that. And then maybe a couple weeks later on, I got a phone call. He's like, wait a minute. I talking about the Jim Lee story. He's like, you're the guy. I got your card right here.
You're the guy from Comic-Con. Yep.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. So, Bryan, how long have you been actually doing comics, and have you done it before, or is this your first forte with Courtney?
I've been doing comics. I'm 46 now. I've been 20. Actually, out of high school. That's how old I am. That's when, if you wanted to work at Marvel or DC, you had to be in New York or California. I had the contracts from both of them, and I turned them down because I was so scared to go somewhere. Because the first 6 months of DC and Marvel were all interns. There was no money, and I'm like, I don't know anybody in New York. I don't know anybody in California. I was really scared. I'm like, I can't sleep on the floor. I'm pretty much a shelter child. I have no backbone to go do this, and I'm going to live there. So for me, though, I kind of just played around with it a lot, trying to get my artwork out there, just doing pinups, people, custom stuff on the side, hey, can you draw this for me? Sure. Can you draw this? Sure. And then probably about when I first went to one of the cons, that's when I got kind of more into it. When I went to meet celebrities like Jim Lee, Silvestri. I mean, those guys were great. I have stories from those that could go for days. Just how crazy incredible it was that their memory is good and how they interact with their fans. And I got passes from both of them that I shouldn't have got.
Wow, that's cool.
Like I can tell you the stories later on if you want to know them, but they're insane. Like but kind of got me into it. Like when Jim told me I want to see your pages, I'm like, oh crap, I got some work.
Do you know what I would do if you said, let me see your pages? I'd be like, what?
That's kind of like that's that intimidation factor. Like, it's not gonna be Jim Lee level. So it's very much. I started working with that, and I started kind of latching onto a lot of indie circuits. There was like a group called like a Christian horror rock band. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it's called Grave Robber. And they wear like masks, like skulls, and they sing like hard heavy metal, but it's supposed to be a Christian guy group. But they have one of comic books. I started drawing covers, and I started drawing some pinups for them and get their stuff rolling. I did like 4 or 5 covers for them, and I started selling books off that and making t-shirts out of it. So I kind of started rolling that a little bit. Then I started getting to a couple of other indie guys and just covers, and they like my work. And then Troy Hasbrook from Jester Press, which I don't think he's doing anything anymore. He's like, here, I wrote a story for you. If you want to roll out with it and just draw it, if you get it finished, I'll go out there and publish it for you. And just things like that, where people just started giving me small stuff. And then I was kind of always submitting to Top Cow, submitting to DC again, trying to get back in that, hopefully in that spot. Never kind of panned out. And then you gotta kind of think after a while, like there's a lot of red tape you have to go through at Marvel and DC. And there's a lot of things you can't do. And you kind of look at the guys you admire, like Jim and Mark, and the reason why they left those companies, because all the things you can't do and they're kind of held and shackled into. And you want to tell a good story, and there's a key component, but they're going to water it down or that doesn't tell you to change it. It's not going to work. So I started looking more in indie. I said, I'm going to work myself. So I'm still in the process. I've done a few. I got a few that are in a spot, kind of maybe ready to go. It's not there. You have most people in the world. We got kids. We got jobs still. It's not a full-time gig yet. So just a tedious time that run to get that spot. So where I can help out is when he kind of approached me, I'm like, you know what? It's a good story. It's got good characters. He's doing most of the work anyways on the paper layouts, for the pencils. I'm like, this is easy. I can just ink it up, kind of show up a few things. Like 9% of the pages you see, it's all Courtney. It's all him doing all the pencil work. And I just time in and go, how about if I just change this? Or, this could be, if you change this turn this way, it gives you a little more depth. Yeah, cool. We discussed it. We went to we have like our own little spot now, this restaurant down the road from me. And go there and
That's about to change, Bryan. That's about to change. Get that spot. That's about to change, man.
That's really cool because I've had the opportunity to interview quite a few writer creators and artists, and one of the things that is super important is kind of that relationship between the writer and the artist. And in this case, Courtney, you're doing some of the penciling, so it's a little different, but you still have to have this understanding with Bryan, right? Because the story can only tell a portion of the story, right? The writing can only share so much, and the art has to share another portion. I mean, that's the beauty of comics, right? Is there's not a ton of reading, and it's really important stuff that you do read, but it's the art that kind of tells the other portion that the writing couldn't do. So there's this dance that needs to take place from the artist and the writer. And you probably know, as comic book fans first, when those things don't link up, the story don't make that much sense, right? You're like, I'm reading it, but none of the pictures are aligning with the story, right? Like they were almost in competition as to what the story was going to be, how the story was going to be told. So I love even how you said that, Bryan. Courtney's doing a lot of the penciling, but I go to him and I say, what about this? And then you start to kind of define the artwork that's going to tell the other half of the story that the actual writing could. I don't know if I'm aligned in how you're seeing it as well, but that's been my experience so far. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think 100%, because it's like I'm writing it, and so I'll do a page, and if something's off, I can go in there and easily change it. I can go in there and change it because I'm the writer, so I can like there's some like this third comic I had changed some stuff because when I drew it, I got focused on something and I drew it and I said, well, that's not how that I want that. So I had to change up the words or whatever. But it still went fine.
Yeah.
But that's easy. But if it was different, the writer and the penciler and the inker, they all have to be on the same page. Yeah. I remember when I can't remember who inked Jim Lee's work, but I remember a video when he was like, it's Jim Lee's pencils, so I have to make sure that I'm on point, blah, 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 with the stuff. And this is when Jim Lee is also doing like the writing, or whoever wrote Hush. I can't remember who wrote Hush. Yeah. So he had to work with Jeff Loeb because a lot of that, I think Jim Lee, he said, we're going to put kind of Batman on the map. Like we're going to have him doing stuff that you don't really see him doing or whatever. And he did. Hush was a good comic. I got to hear something.
The good thing about Courtney is he's very passionate about the project. That's the thing. He's up in the thing, send me text messages, hey, I'm working on this picture, what do you think right now, this pose, what about this shot, is it good? And I'm more like an editor as an inker right now. I'm kind of like looking at like from pacing, like we're actually going to restaurants and like that. I'm like taking all his pages and we're laying them out like a book. We're folding them. Where's the impact? Where's the splash page? Okay, this is pacing to be gone. Where's the big event now? Okay, we have to have a fight scene. And he's like, oh crap, so we got to put a fight scene in. So he did a couple pages to fix it so we can get good pacing, which is important. If there's no pacing for it, and he was really okay, just help me, help each other out. What do you need me to do? Okay, here's a new page, done. Here's this. And he's got an extra engine tank somewhere in him. I don't know where he gets energy from. I mean,
it's like when I first met Bryan, I was like, if you do the art, when you see the art, it's not like I'm a super duper pro. You've seen some of my art, Tommy, that I post on TikTok, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I just did a really dope John Wick. Oh, it's fire! I'm just saying, it's fire. Anyway, I just because I didn't want like it to stop me.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not there. Because that's what I used to do. I used to see people's art, and it would be way better than mine, and I would just be like, I'll do something else. But now I don't care.
Yeah.
I actually don't care. I use that kind of like I think that's part of what's driving me. I don't care that they better because eventually I'm gonna be there and I may surpass. That's how I'm looking at it. And plus, I just want to get the story out. I love it so much. I think it's a very good one because of the bad guy. You know who it is. You know who that bad guy is. Yeah.
Because he's a jerk.
He's a big jerk. Yeah, he's a big jerk.
Yeah, it's funny. PG, I think most PG bad version. Guys are, right? What's that, Bryan?
That's our PG version. He's a jerk.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
He's a jerk.
I love it.
He's very contradicting, sinister, if that even makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you can't even like sometimes you get villains that you can make a feel for them, like Mr. Freeze, villain, but you can feel for the guy.
Yeah.
And you cannot feel. Because my brother.
There's some other issues.
You know what I'm saying? If you feel for him, okay, it's problem. You got a problem.
Yeah, I'm more worried about you.
Right. Yeah. My brother would ask me, he said, why does he do what he does, man? There's got to be a reason. I said, no, man. That's the thing. There is no reason why he does what he does. Yeah. He does it because he can, period.
Yeah.
It is what it is. 100%.
I love it. That's awesome, man. So how far along are you on issue 1?
All right. So the first comic is done with pencils and he's inking it right now.
Okay.
Then we're gonna come together and I'm gonna do the color. He's gonna do the coloring. So that's why I said Bryan, he's doing the inking and he's doing the coloring.
Yeah.
I'm writing it, doing the pencils, and he's also helping with editing. You understand? And then we're gonna put the effects and the bubbles together. And right now, that's what we're working, the inking of the first comic. I have the second one done, pencils, and I'm working on the third one. The third one's almost done. And then once the third one's done, I'll be working on the fourth one. Because I have because it's a 13 comic book arc. I know that might be a lot, but it may be a lot.
That's not.
Yeah,
not.
I don't know. It's not. All right. Well,
People
it's
like
a
big
13.
arcs. Look at Hush. Hush was a huge arc. I think it was like 18 issues.
Okay.
People like
all right,
it. People,
good.
as long as the
I
story's
like
good,
those.
which it is, it's good. You want a big story.
Yeah. I
think that's good.
I remember the old sagas, like the X-Men saga, like the Onslaught saga. I remember when Wolverine got his bones snatched out. These were so good of storylines. The Phoenix saga, that's what I'm thinking when I do these stories, because it's not just the Atonement saga. I'm not Image. We're not Image. I'm not Marvel DC, but I feel like these stories, I think I got something here, and I know probably everybody think, well, they got some. I really do think I have some, because I have the Atonement Saga is supposed to spark everything off in this universe that we created. Okay.
Yeah.
We've created. So I have a storyline with that. Then I have another storyline that right after Atonement Saga, I'm gonna start working on. After it. And then you see what happened in Atonement Saga. This is the aftermath of what happened, but it's its own storyline. We just see bits and pieces of what happened, like, this whatever was destroyed because of whatever, those creatures I told you about that was just running crazy in the story. And then after that, there's another story that I got and wrote down, like, just real quick, whatever outline for it. So with the Atonement, I got all 13 of the outlines done. The first one is written, the second one is written, the third one is basically almost done, with the writing. And I'm trying to think. That's really, for the most part, I got the characters, got the designs, got the attitudes of each character. And
the big thing for you is you went really big. Like when I talked to him, and we're just at the restaurant talking, and he lit everything out. Like he's got stuff like earmarked for 10 years at least. Like what he wants to do. The Atonement Saga is basically the core story. You see the characters, but eventually it's gonna be some aftermath. And then you're gonna learn. So it's kind of like the introduction of like, and the seventh day this was created, and then boom, now you're gonna have.
It's just
each team have their own story. Each person have their own story, and they're gonna move on past these events. And
that's what it's supposed to be. Introduction. Like I'm gonna say some names of the team. I'm not gonna tell like powers or nothing. I'm gonna say the name of the squads, right? So you have a team called Alpha Protocol, right? And they're a big part of the story, because what this is supposed to do is introduce, like I sent in an email, my characters to readers. So you got Alpha Protocol, and you got this team called Brute Force, and then you got one of the bad guys named Nemesis. He's a jerk too.
Just his laugh and his smile. That's why I love the guy. He's just like
that was kind of an
jerk too. Man. And you have like when I spoke to the lady that does the marketing, when she was looking through things, like I have a female character that I believe is very marketable. Like I think people will really like her. Once they read her, I think they'll like her. Yeah. And then I know they're gonna like the main bad guy. 100%. I know they are gonna love that. But so that's I just love art, man. I love it to death.
And he did a good job like writing characters too. Like the characters he wrote, and how just like going over the small snaps of each character. Yeah. Everybody in the books, at least the main Atonement Saga, has something for everybody. You're gonna like something. If you like people who are funny and witty, you're gonna have someone for that. If you like someone who are serious and like badass, like Wolverine kind of badass, you have someone for that. You have that thing for everybody. Strong females, this, that, teams.
Yeah, but strong female without being lame strong female. You know what I mean when I say that?
Take the strong.
No, right. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I want to write, have a strong lady, like how I'll say like Wonder Woman, how they do Wonder Woman is perfect. She never says I'm doing this because I'm this. No, she will bust you up because she simply can. She's strong enough to do so. She doesn't play that. That's what I mean by that. Because I love when I see strong like female characters. I love it to death. You look at Tomb Raider. You look at Jean Grey. You look, and because these characters are so developed, especially Jean Grey. She went through Madeline Pryor thing. Like, come on, man. The thing, come on, Jean Grey. Stop. Catwoman, come on. These are the women that I like to see in these comics, man.
Yeah, they don't have to tell you they're badass, right? You just know
they don't have to say it.
Their actions, right?
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that because there are a few female characters, and they like go out of their way to tell you how amazing they are. Like,
you
don't need to do that if you are that, right? Like, same with men. You don't need to tell me you're badass.
You don't
I'll know it within 30 minutes of the movie or the comic book, whether you are or not.
And
if you have to tell me 10 times, then you probably aren't.
Like, if you look at and I don't know, people like if you look at Sigourney Weaver's character in Aliens, I don't know, everybody watched it. She was cold. She was cold. Even in the first one, like, she was like, in the second one, get your team out of there. Get them out. Like, good, man. That's what we need, man. I'm telling you.
She was like the OG badass female character.
That's how when I drew her, that's how I looked at her. Like Psylocke, characters like that. That's when I designed her, that's how I looked at it. I love it.
That's awesome, man.
Confidence without arrogance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, Bryan. Don't need any of that, man. Don't need it. We get too much of that, I think, in movies now, and I think that's one of the factors that has hurt a lot of the superhero movies.
Oh yeah,
way out of their way to try and tell you something that they are instead of writing a really good story where you already know what they are, right? I mean, if they could do that, I think we get back to $800 and billion movies. But at the rate they're going, man, I think people are just burnt out on that.
Yeah. It's rushed. There's rush. There's no thought. It's just like, let's get up the doors. Let's ride the wave instead of making a new wave.
Yeah, they don't. It's like they just forgot about writing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just bad writing. It's not, you got good characters like DC. I think DC, if they did it right, the Justice League would have been better than the Avengers. I really do think that if they did it right. But what they,
it's been tough, man. With DC, right? They are kind of ending that last era of the DC EU. So we'll see. We'll see what James Gunn and Peter Safran are able to do. I think people are looking at the Flash, and we got Blue Beetle coming up. We all have to take a deep breath, right? Because really, their era of DC won't begin until 2024. So I know they get a lot of crap from the fans as far as how the Flash. When I enjoyed the Flash, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed
the Flash too.
I thought it was really good. To be honest,
I was like, oh my Keaton.
Yeah. The only problem is some of the CGI was a little rough with the babies falling out of the window. I'm like, I don't know. The microwave one, I'm like, I don't know.
You guys are better than me, man. I won't even go see it. I saw like bits and pieces of stuff, and I was like, I can't.
You might like it. They did some good homage stuff. Like
they did.
I like the homage, but
really good.
It's like if I made a comic and like of some old, and that's all it is nostalgia, but it's poorly written.
Yeah.
I don't think it was bad written. No,
I don't think it was either.
Okay. It was well, maybe I'll go see it, but maybe
I'll go with you again. We'll go see it together. It was good enough.
I will tell you, it's better than I thought it would be, knowing that the last couple DC movies have not been that great. So it's probably been the better of the last year or so. But yeah, we'll see. I think Blue Beetle is going to be pretty good. I think Aquaman 2 is going to bomb big time, is my personal opinion. I'm not sure that's going to. And the problem is, right? And I don't know how they could have done it differently, but you have Peter and you have James Gunn coming in. They've already said they're hitting the reset button on the DC universe, which means all these movies that were already either done or close to being done mean nothing. And so every movie that comes out, they keep telling us, oh, this fits within the new DC, but we all know it's not part of the new DC. So if you're a DC fan, I think it's a turnoff knowing that you're seeing an Aquaman 2 movie where Momoa might not ever be Aquaman again after this. And the storyline, the storyline's not going to align with anything in the new DCU, right? So then you're like investing time and money into a project that might not mean anything, right? So I don't know if that's the main reason, but I know that has to do with some of it, just because on Reddit, people are like, why would I see that if it means nothing?
Yep.
Sometimes I think people want to complain right now in this
That's
day
a good
and age.
point. Good point, Bryan. Yeah, I mean, it's very popular to complain.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
especially
Yeah.
since social media has spiked up a lot of stuff. So it's definitely. I was talking to somebody else the other day, and it's very easy to say something about something when you have to talk with them. Like you would never tell Mike Tyson to go F off to his face.
Or you'd be like that dude in the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
People say it on Twitter all the time, like, "Oh, you suck," blah blah blah. But they won't go say to a professional sport athlete's face
for sure,
like that at all. They would get the you know. And that's why I think a little bit. So that's my kind of concern for the comic industry right now in general, because like I think the comic industry right now is surviving from what I've seen based on the Gen X's, me, people that are who still have that that passion for comics, to develop stuff, to follow through developing things. I mean, we lost Toys R Us. That was heartbreaking. My kid was over here crying. There's things like where you look at the generation coming up, like my daughter, they don't interact with toys. Their imagination is very on digital and very in your face, and they don't go outside and play. So I think right now, the people like me and Courtney have to go through with other writers in comics to try to recapture the imagination for kids, get their juices flowing so they can be creative again and kind of. So there's a lot of things he's doing by developing and taking time and creating a universe that's developing for everybody and anybody to be into and watch and read is going to be helpful. I think that's my biggest concern for my kids in the future is, are they going to be a kid? Are they going to fit in somewhere? Are they going to do this? And I think they need people that we check the brain and download stuff back again to being, hey, this is what imagination is. This was like to play with two G.I. Joes and have a conversation together as a kid.
Stanley said it himself. Stanley said it himself. He said he created. What did he say? He was like, I like to make stories that I would like to go see.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with that, man. It's all about how the best movies, the best books it's how they are written. It makes you put yourself like, what would you do in this situation? That's why everybody liked Spider-Man when he came out. And that's why people like Miles now. It's doing the same thing that Peter did when Peter was made, because he was a teenager. He had all these issues, so they was relatable. Miles is the same way, and they're doing the same thing. Trying to replace my boy Peter, but it's so.
Well, no, they're not replacing him, but they're doing a good job. Acclimating him into the universe.
Right.
They didn't just say, "Hey, Miles, you're Peter Parker." It's Miles. He's his own character.
His own character. Yep.
His own person. He's not. You might become new Spider-Man eventually in the future to be the only one in the verse. Right. But they did a good job writing him out to be Miles, not Peter. They didn't just change him over.
And that's good, and that's what you need. Not like these.
I think right now, stories. Hollywood, things in general, become give me the money, give me a lot of the marketing quickly. Just push it out. You see that
quantity over quality.
Yep. And let's get out what we can instead of taking time developing things. I mean, it used to be, for some reasons, you could get like a year and a half between certain movies, and now they're trying to push them out every 6 months if you can. And I'm like, it's becoming lazy. I don't know what to do. We're going to change to a woman now instead of a guy, or we're going to change a minority because we need to get this in instead of being. And I told Courtney, I said, "Where are you on this?" And you kind of on the same page. I'm like, develop strong characters for characters. If you want. If you want a strong black character, make a strong black character or develop them. Get them out there. It's fun. Most people know
it's very lazy, right? I think it's just extremely lazy to be able to race swap, gender swap.
Oh, that's irritating.
Right? And it's very offensive, right?
You see what they did to Thor, right, Miles, when he got the Thor thing? Like, what?
No, it's just lazy. And I think the other thing too, right, is it's so expensive. So DC and Marvel have had a really difficult time and a very expensive time. And a lot of bad, I think, mojo by having these creators develop these characters, and then these creators aren't getting anything out of that moving forward, right? You look at Superman and you look at Schuster and them. I mean, how many years were they in poverty, barely making rent? They never got anything from $1 billion character that they created. And it happens all the time. And so now I think they're a little gun shy of bringing an artist on or some sort of a creator to develop a character that now Marvel owns, that creator or artist will never get paid for. And I think they're trying to stay away from that. So I do think that is a big reason of kind of the race swap and the gender swaps, because I don't owe my artist anything because they didn't create it. All I did was change the color of their skin or their gender. And it's a lot safer for me from a lawsuit standpoint moving forward. So I do think that's driving a lot of this. I don't think it's as political as people want to make it think and stuff like that. I think it's all about dollars and cents when you're talking about Disney and WB, right?
Yep.
And so if I could race swap, that means I don't owe an artist and no one owns this character but us. And we don't have that background moving forward for the next 20 years when this character becomes huge. So I do think there's a lot of that, but I think it's lazy too.
It is
I think
lazy,
if I'm a young Hispanic man, and my wife's Mexican, I have 4 kids that are now Mexican, right? I'm sure they would like to see someone that they could relate to, but they don't want Thor just to be Mexican in the next movie, right? Because that's not relatable, right? So how do I create a character that's relatable? And that's what I think is missing right now when they do these kind of things. And I think that's why a lot of these have failed. And it's not
because it's like you don't care about the characters. Like,
exactly.
I care about my characters.
He does.
I love them a lot.
They're your babies, right? They're your babies. You gave birth to those.
Right. I want them to, when people read them, like I have one character. He's my guy. Like, not the bad guy. He's my guy. And I made it where,
Wolf?
No. There's another
one?
character. I made it where he hates his power. Through this whole story, he doesn't like his power at all. Okay. But eventually, because of what the main antagonist said, he eventually learns that he has to have the power. It's really good. I'll tell you. He realizes some stuff from what the main bad guy said about his ability. Throughout the story, he develops, and like I said, it develops into his own comic, or whatever.
And I'm wondering if you don't have more. What's that?
You got to care about your characters. So you write them well. They care about Miles. That's why Miles is getting wrote kind of good.
Oh yeah.
They care about like Superman. If you look at Superman now, he's starting to be a little different than he was before. He got these weird abilities, which I was like, what? And I love Superman. Love him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to be passionate about it. You gotta love what you do. You can't just push stuff out just to be pushing it out. Yeah, to make money, whatever, but it may not make as much as it could if you just put a little T on there, a little dot your eyes, fix it a little better.
I mean, this is why I think Avengers did really good in the movie theater, even though they twisted a little bit of it, because Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, they're all established characters. They're looking at over 60 plus years, or on some of them, or maybe or longer on other ones, and they're established. So their fan base is strong. And then I'm sure you're your dad, you've passed your comic nerdity to your kids, and they're gonna go see it because that's what dad likes. And
I'm a die nerd. I don't care. I'm a firefighter who loves comics. Boom.
I love it, man. I love it.
And you know what? If I could do it like comics full time, I would quit being a firefighter 100%. If it made money consistent with it.
Don't say if, say when, right? When?
When. I'm just saying. I'm just being real. Like, I tell my wife all the time, and she's like, "Hey, coolest wife in the world." She's like, hey, that's how it is.
As long as we can pay our bills, I don't care what you are, right? I mean, if that's your passion.
You know how lovely that would be to do something that you love. If it's consistent, I would love to do it. I would love to do it
for sure, man. I think all of us have that dream of one day. At this point, I'm almost 52, and I'm at an age where my kids are older now. They're all adults, so now I could waste money on my passion and see what happens, right?
One day,
sometimes I gotta do.
Okay, one day. I may work with Jim Lee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If he drew again, but I'm just saying.
It's amazing. When those 6 left Marvel, and they went over to DC and told them what they were about to do, and then they started Image. I think a lot of comic book fans understand the impact, but man, if you're in your 40s and you grew up and you went and got that first Spawn comic or Cyber Force or whatever it was at that time, I don't think you realize the impact that they had on the industry and really the doors they opened up for other creators, right? I mean, there was independent comics before Image Comics for sure, but Image really pushed indie comics into another realm where it made it possible for more creators to jump in. And whether you like Image Comics or not, I think you have to give them a lot of respect for the doors that they open. I don't think I would have a comic. I don't think you guys would have a comic. I mean, look at today and how easy it is to make a comic. It ain't cheap.
No.
And the process isn't easy.
No.
But if you have everything done to get it published, it's very simple, right? I mean, you have
the
Comic
guy who made
Wellspring, you have Kablam, they all have small print runs. I mean, the availability to make a comic book today is easier than ever any time before. And the process is still difficult, don't get me wrong, and you still got to have a good story, and if you don't, it's not going to do well. But I mean, anybody can make a comic today. In the 90s, no one even thought about making their own comic, right? You were going from Comic-Con to Comic-Con to show Jim Lee or some of the most popular writers and artists your work to hopefully get onto at least DC or Marvel before Image or Image during the 90s, right? The possibilities weren't there. You don't need anybody today. You just need a Bryan and someone else, Courtney, to get this stuff done.
Look at the guy who made Black Sands comics.
And some of this. Yeah.
The guy who made Black Sands comics and this other guy, I can't remember, but I know he's on YouTube all the time. But I just know his main character is a black guy. Well, I don't know anything about him, but I know it's popular. People like it, So you got a good storyline.
I think the biggest thing is developing characters. I mean, back to Image, Tom McFarlane.
Yeah.
One character, really.
One character.
And he's 300 issues plus strong. For over X amount of 20 plus years, what he's done it for and branched off. And if you ever want a good thing, I'm going to plug him in a little bit here. Like his videos on YouTube, you watch like his sacrifices, like you watch like the truth behind Spawn and McFarlane Studios.
Oh yeah, I seen that video.
Like the 4 pillars between video games and comic books and toys and all that like that, and like movies and he's got he figured it out. Yeah, honestly, I keep watching it over again in the background. I'm drawing, like you get that extra like encouragement for it. Like he's gonna go for another 30 years if he can do it. I mean, he hasn't bent his knee to anybody since he's done it. He's gone through ups and downs and have rebounded back. We're still all waiting for Spawn reboot. Maybe Fox, I don't know, who's gonna play Spawn. That's the rumor, but just that you watch what he's done, and then you take some of the things he's done. He's done it for you. He's crossed the river of alligators, crocodiles at first to show you to see mistakes on the videos what he's done wrong. And he's one of the nicest guys too I've met. Like just to offer like anything you would answer for any kind of like help you would need, whether it's your drawing or business marketing, whatever it is, because he knows he's eventually not going to be there forever. He knows eventually it's going to be done, and he's got to pass the baton to somebody else. Somebody else is going to be the next group of guys who are 20 years younger than him. We're going to carry it for the next 20 years. We're too old to pass to somebody else, and hopefully it thrives. That's what he's watching and how he talks. That's how it is.
Yeah. No, it's incredible to watch these guys and to kind of walk through their history because they've left a huge impact. I mean, Todd is my guy, but I love Jim Lee, Mark Sylvester, but Todd has always been my guy. I love Spawn. I think Spawn is an amazing character. And actually, it started off huge, right? I think Spawn, 1.5 million copies on that first issue, broke all kinds of records. Now I think he has the longest independent comic in history with Spawn. And now he has 5, I believe, comics that are ongoing at one time under Spawn. But he's made over $300 million off of toys.
Oh, no.
He's changed the entire toy world, man. I mean, he's still the #1 toy manufacturer. Because
he's that's time and the detail work and caring about what you're doing. He wants, I mean, no one's going to pay top dollars for a crappy product. That's why when I do my work at the conventions, I mean, I don't even charge as much as other people do, but I do a lot of detail. I care about what my people are getting because hopefully you want to return customer.
100%.
Original artwork, comic book, whatever it might be. And you always talk nice to people. You always be polite and you give them manners, which a lot of things are lacking nowadays. Politeness and manners. but you want to make sure that your fan base can relate to you and that your fan base kind of adores you in a way that they want to come back to you or spread the word for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It doesn't happen much anymore like it used to, but you hope the better in the future coming up.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%. Yeah. So, gentlemen, do you guys have an idea of when the Atonement's issue 1 will be? You know, that question has to be asked, Courtney. I don't want to put you on the spot,
okay.
But I mean,
when I first started it, I was so hyped. I did like you said. I was like, man, this is the beginning of this year, right?
Yeah.
But nah.
Yeah.
All the stuff that goes into it. Yeah. Like before I met Bryan, I did it inked myself. I have another buddy named Jared who he helped out with and I think he's still helping. I'm gonna rely a lot on him with the graphic design part, stuff. Like he designed the logo. Yeah. And he was doing some inking at first. So I inked it and he was inking some parts or coloring. And it was just, I realized at that point, it's just so much work. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's a guy on TikTok, this real good artist, who asked me if I was penciling and then inking together or doing it separate. And he was like, if you do it, it's going to be a long process, right? And I was like, oh, it's fine. But no, it is not fine. It's a long process. That's why I contacted Bryan.
Yeah.
Bryan, because I'm like, yo, if I can do this, then you can do that.
Yeah.
Boom, you know? Yeah. But I mean, my wife, she got me like this brand new iPad Pro. And nice. And it's got a lot of features on there that I haven't even got into it with. So yeah, it's gonna be like back to school. Right now, I don't want to eat. You know, Bryan is the man for that one.
Yeah,
I look at it this way. It's good to have a second pair of eyes on it too. You know,
and that's
you're really passionate about your stuff. Sometimes you don't pull back. Even when I'm drawing, I'm about to stop, go to the girl, and then go, hey, lady, come here.
Yeah,
is this look proportionate to you? Is it correct? Does her face look too big? Does this eyeball line up, whatever? And then kind of get a second opinion, or go to the mirror because you want to make sure your stuff's good. So I mean, every so often, those times you want to double check your stuff, but you definitely need to, you know, it's nice to have another person with you to edit. Or like, hey, you do this. What if you do this? And like, yeah, it's a great idea. And he comes back and he's like, yeah, that worked out really good. Or I like this a lot. Or no,
like that fight
don't
scene.
touch that. I like that panel a lot, really good. Don't touch it. Like, okay, we'll work around it, or we'll break it up somehow just to make sure it works really good. And that's
it's like that fight scene, right, Bryan?
Yep, that fight scene.
Yeah, because the fight scene, the first fight scene, it was more something came out. Yeah, and you didn't see the fight; you just saw the aftermath,
after effects of it.
And, right, but Bryan was like, "Why don't you show it?" You know.
Yeah.
So I was looking at here. Yeah, show the fight, and so I showed the fight, and I love it. I like it like a lot. I'm happy that he said that because it's hard to do it by yourself. Like before I met Bryan, I was doing all this stuff by myself.
Right.
And my buddy, my wife, I would ask her. She'd be like, "Courtney, I don't, you know." It all looks good.
Yeah.
She doesn't. And then my buddies, they no help at all because they don't draw it, no help. So it was hard, but it's good to have a second person
for sure.
There was a woman that I was working with named Abigail. I can't remember her last name, but she works at the hospital with my wife. She is really into this too, like big time.
Wow, that's awesome.
She doesn't like comics. She's more Harry Potter type stuff, like Lord of the Rings type stuff. Yeah. So we were doing stuff, but when she did it, she wanted to she was trying to make it more like Lord of the Rings type comic. And she was saying that I should kill off a bunch of characters, and I was like,
those are my babies.
I need these characters. But I like a lot. I love her ideas. It's so good though. But it's not to kill all of them off, but like not all of them, but a lot of them that she wanted to kill off.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to do it.
He told me that he's like, who do I do it to? I like this guy. Who's
right?
Don't do it now.
But I am taking some stuff that she said, like the main antagonist, and I think the third comic he had an interaction with a kid. Like she said that you should make him interact with the kid. And I said, I don't know. But then I like the idea now, and now I have him interact with this kid, and I ain't saying nothing else other than that.
I'm thinking, okay, this book is probably like teen to adult.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's I would say it's not for like there's no pornography or nothing like that. No sex. There's no cussing or swearing in it. You know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of some action in there.
Yeah.
You know? And but there is. See, I don't want to say now. I want to give it away. But I mean, it's like I would say it's for like teen to adult. Yeah, put it like that, teen to adult.
There's some scenes that make you go,
like,
okay.
ouch. Yeah, my wife, there was one scene with my wife in the second comment. She said, "Why you do that? Like,
the guy's a jerk.
Why you do that? Like,
I didn't do it. The character did.
Like, I don't care. It is what it is. That happens."
I love it. I love it, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So sometime this year, right?
You say that. I would say, to be honest, I want to say, because Bryan is doing like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, we have other things happening. I have a more open schedule than Bryan, because you know I'll work like it's like a California shift where we work off, and then off for 4 days or whatever.
Yep.
So I got a lot of time to do stuff. Yeah. And I need it, man. Some of these fight scenes it's hard to put together. But Bryan, he's got some stuff going on. It's not just mine, I don't think, because he has his own comic too. I think, right? That the one
on the side, but I'm kind of helping you out here more.
That
I spent more of my time.
It's good. I saw it. I was like, "Dang, Bryan, you way better than me, bro."
I told him, I said, "Well, let's get big, because eventually, the point would be the universe starts off, and you kind of go to the other branches of the universe, and maybe I would take one of the other books over from him."
That's what I sent you, Tommy, that email. That's what I want to do. Like, you put like the story of his characters. Like, I'm telling you, if we could have 2 more people, I feel like we can do something like 100% big time. Like,
can I get
something
Wolf?
on a scale.
Can I get one? Can I get the Wolf character? Can I get Wolf? Wolf.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Can I get that one to draw?
Yeah, if you want, if you want, yeah.
That's his baby.
I don't care. I do not care.
It's his favorite one. He loves that one to death.
You like him? One. I love him. I like him a lot too. You know when I created him? I created him when I was 15 years old.
Oh wow.
Yep, I created Brute Force when I was in my in my teens as well. Maybe like 16, 17, maybe 18. I created Brute Force a long time ago. A lot of these characters were a long time ago. Like, I can show you some pictures how they used to look.
Yeah.
Remember when I said a message you on TikTok? I said, man, I remember these pictures. When you see them now, you like, man, I got way better. I blew up or whatever. But yeah, man, I can't wait. So I would say, to be honest, I want to be like next year. I want to say next year. That's what I want to say.
I mean,
I really do want to say next year.
Marketing, Kickstarters, what can do pricing wise? What's it like you were talking about before in the beginning, like what's your run total you want to do? How many people can get to pre-order it? Or definitely, I told him for sure, take your time the most on the first book. Because you gotta make sure it's perfect, because that's like your first impression, your first opportunity to get your hits. People that fall in love with you, like the book, like the characters. I told him, even his family told him too, if there's anything that you don't like, I told him, you don't like anything, we draw it. Or stop, decide, let me know, I'll look at it, I'll help you out, kind of like the editor kind of thing.
Sure.
I don't want him to put anything that he's going to go to press with and be like, I really don't like that at all. I really don't want to draw that anymore. That looks horrible. I should have done it. Like, you never want to have that shoulda, coulda, wouldas, especially on your first time out, or your first shot out there. If you want to try and get like your 3rd or 4th issue in, and there's a panel you don't like, but you want to get the book out on time, you might be able to compromise a little bit more with that. But definitely your very first book, I told him, it's got to be perfect, but you can get it for.
Jim Lee said it best. He said the reason why he do so good because every page he doesn't rush through. He says he puts he takes his time, not too much time, but he takes his time with the page. He puts a lot into his page, and then he goes. He don't rush it to get past to the next page. He does it, and then just focuses on this page, and he doesn't think about the finished product. That's what it is. And when he said that, I was doing that. I was focusing on the next comic, or the whatever. And 100%. That's why I did some of these pages over. And there's a page right now in this 3rd comic book that I might do over.
Yeah.
I've
I've watched his videos though. Even though he takes his time, he's pretty fast and more faster than most, I think, artists. But he takes his time, and his mind is his time. But I'm watching like, man, in 20 minutes he did that whole panel, man. That's freaking amazing.
And these little pages that thing, who's next on TikTok, those pictures don't take at all. They take less than 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Like when I drew John Wick, that did not take long at all. Like, and I drew Hellboy, that didn't take long at all. Like maybe not even, maybe 10 minutes, maybe. And that's because I was playing around with my dog, you know, when I was doing it. So I mean, they don't take long. But when I, you know, the ones that take long, ones I be sitting up here trying to figure out. Like right now, I'm looking at this concept art and I don't like it. That's why you see me keep looking down. I don't like it at all. And,
which means I'll probably get a text about an hour later on, like, hey, here it is. What do you actually do differently?
I'm gonna change it. I think I am gonna change it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, since we're gonna be a little bit out for the first issue, we certainly want people to follow both of you. That way they know the news as soon as you're ready to give the news. So Courtney, how could people follow you on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff?
Oh man. See,
so I know Joe Mama is your TikTok.
I told you.
I don't know if that's your Arkaik.
Bryan told me to set up a social media page for it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I am going to. Right now, I have an Instagram, but it's not like I'm slacking so much with it.
Yeah.
I gotta make that.
It needs its own. It needs its own for the book.
Its own.
For the comic.
I told some people on TikTok that when I do have it, I'm gonna have it connected to it.
Yeah.
So for right now, I post stuff on TikTok and I post stuff on Instagram, but it's not like it's not its own page yet, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just gotta take the time to do it. And I want it to be really good, and it's frustrating me because I can't. Yeah. This is how my brain works. It's weird. I don't know. It's I'll have something and it has to, if it doesn't match what's in here, it just it messes me up or something. So just right now it's just TikTok, but I know Bryan has some pages though.
Yeah. Before we move on, it's Joe Mama, JOMAMA.
Yeah, it's
you can follow Courtney there.
It does have right some
of your art. You do talk a little bit about what you're working on. And then I think it'll be that TikTok where you do announce the other TikTok that will be related more to the comic book. But for 100%. Now, like to stay connected to you, Courtney, go to Joe Mama. That's how I've been following you. Yeah, JOMAMA. And then for you, Bryan, how do people start following you?
Mostly I got a couple of different things. I got like a Twitter page is kind of fun, but mostly not. But mostly I do the Instagram. So if you would search up my name, BRYAN VREELAND, you should get like a Howler 36, I think is my Instagram handler.
Okay.
Look for the Jim Lee Gambit Wolverine cover from Uncanny X-Men. You'll find me right away.
Right on,
for Instagram. Otherwise, art of Bryan Vreeland on Facebook.
Yep.
I have a page just for art alone. I kind of post when I do commissions there as well. I'll probably try to post a few pictures or panels that we want to give away some images on for the comic book. I've just got to be discretionary with him, what he wants to show.
Yeah.
I told him we have to show them something. People want to see progress. They want to see
ink. That's why when I set up this Kickstarter, I'm gonna mess with that Kickstarter today. I'm just gonna mess with some because I got it started, but it looked blah to me. So I don't want to push out nothing that just looks lame, you know. So it's coming though. I can feel it. It's coming.
Yep. Very good. So I'll put the links below so that way people could just quickly follow both of you. But I think now after people start to hear everything that you're working on, the Atonement Saga, they're going to want to know more information. And so
good, I got it for them.
You got it. Yeah. So we'll make sure that they follow both of you. And then Bryan, before we go, man, Courtney made a comment about something that you're working on outside of this. Maybe you want to give us a little bit or no?
Mine?
Your comic,
what you mean? Of
course.
Actually, mine, I have my own comic book. It's one of the ones taking forever. It's definitely a swan song kind of book because it's delicate in nature only because of the content. So pretty much it's called Native Force.
Native Force.
And it's about Native American indigenous people. So you're an 80s child, right? So if you ever seen Marshall Bravestar? Remember Marshall
No, I
Bravestar?
haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's I kind of took a different approach. I wanted things a little different, things that were not necessarily traditional comic book characters.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a young woman who comes in her own and develops powers based off of spirit animals that she acquires through trials.
Nice.
And actually started off because I entered a contest for art through, I think it's Buddy Scalera. He's had a bunch of contests. I won the contest for the pose book they had. And then it was like, I developed a character and I developed this character and she's got the headdress on, which normally not traditional for women to have that, but she's got the headdress on and she's got like things I put in for her. And I won't give too much of information out of it, but it also tries to put a little more supernatural twist. So some of the antagonists are old Native American lore legends that come out in and are kind of follow suits. Like I do a lot of research going, I'm part Native American too. And you'll see my banner has her head on it with my art logo on it. But it's like a lot of like, there's these creatures that turn into owls and eat your insides out. Like, it's interesting. So I'm like,
that sounds awesome to me.
I like it. I saw it. I like it.
You had me eat your insides out, man. You had me.
I saw it. I mean, like,
I just don't want anything that's different that maybe, but it's definitely a delicate situation. I know they've had very few small demographic in that area as a minority for comics. You have like Warpath, X-Force, and there's a few other ones out there. People trying to develop and create. You know, like Rain, what was his name from like Gen 13 had one, and I mean, there's only been like one strong main character like that by themselves. Like Shaman Sears was that way, and they got a lot of slack for a while. People are like, shouldn't do it like this. I'm like one, but people, if you don't show it out there, it gets forgotten. Like, I mean, part Native American, like you look at it and go, if you don't mention them, no one forgets that they exist in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened is like pipeline comes out and the oil in like North Dakota. Now it's an issue. Now you see now they're in the news, and now this is happening in general. That's where I'm kind of like, it shouldn't be just directed to a tragedy with nature or something's going on the reservation. That's how to make a strong impact on the culture. So that's what this character is kind of coming into. I said a little bit of mystery, a little bit of detective work, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of nature. So it's gonna be her going through her trials and gaining her markings. Like, so when she gains a trial, she gains the element, she gains the spirit animal, she gains a marking on her body, war paint.
Nice. It sounds like she need to be in the Atonement Saga. Maybe she need to be a character in the Atonement Saga. Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
So is this all just written down? You don't have a physical?
I got a full script. I gave my buddy, who another person I had was a writer. We've been working on trying to make sure that we give something to the person by background checks. Last thing we want to do is say, well. And I don't want to get the generation narrow it down to one tribe either. I don't want to be like, this is just Navajo, this is just Cherokee, this is whatever. I want to make sure it just is a global understanding. And maybe I might focus on this one's tribe's villain this time or situation, and then maybe this one. So everybody gets a taste and everybody kind of feels accepted into the comic. But it's got drawings and laid out. And every kicker is laid out front, back, side for villains and all the twists and turns and how they look. And I got a print of her already done with her classic old school image. She's at moonlight. Some wolves watch her. She's bathing herself in the moonlight in the water.
I love it.
Man. She's covered, but she's still not covered. So
I'm just saying, sounds awesome, man. Sounds awesome
for you.
So,
I love it, man.
That's what I'm bringing in. The thing that's different. I mean, it's my baby for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's one of those times like, you're at that spot too, and you're like, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it. Eventually I'll get around to it. You get a little bit more, and you get a little closer, and you get a little closer. And that's why I kind of, with him, I kind of, you know what? He's closer than I am.
Yeah.
If I can help him get closer and get done faster, it makes sense to do that. Because what happens if I can get him going, if I can get Courtney going, I'll call him CJ because it's easier now. That's my nickname. If I get CJ going and get him rolling and get Atonement Saga out there, guess what? I can step away from my job
Yeah.
I can sit at home because it's gonna be popular, it's gonna be big, and then I can actually take. Okay, hey man, I got like about a 6 month break from this. Okay, okay, and I'll go on myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I can. So if I can help him now, I can hopefully get a chance for me to give him a break later on. I can help myself.
Nice, man. I love it. I love it. Well, gentlemen, I can't tell you how much I've appreciated this conversation. I'm hoping as we get closer to the Atonement Saga, we could do this again. That way we could help get your Kickstarter off the right way. But in the meantime, I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to this. What you got, Bryan?
Oh, yeah, he has some ink stuff there.
That is dope.
Some ink stuff there.
That is dope.
I'll give you guys one quick. That's a little quick page. That's
well, the art looks fantastic, man. It looks dope.
And then when I said, like, I do a lot of, like, for him, it's just get it out there for him, get on the page, and I'll take care of the rest for him. Like I said, he does 9% of the work. I just kind of ink over and just, hey, this is, we changed a little bit, fix this a little bit. And I check with him. I say, you like it? Is it good? He's like, yup, it's fire. I'm like, thanks a lot. Appreciate it, man.
That is awesome, man. That is fire.
And I had posted something on TikTok that now I think maybe I shouldn't have.
All good, man. All good.
Like, so it was like a panel of the third comic. That's what I did. That's that one where I was like, look, so y'all know I'm not just playing around or something. I said, and I posted it. I posted it, but whatever.
Yeah.
And when you want those Jim Lee and Symmetry stories, let me know. I'll tell them to you.
Sweet, man. I love it. Hell yeah.
They were great stories. Those are the best comic book stories I've ever had in my life. I tell them to stay still because they're so good to have when you're an artist and you're an aspiring artist trying to get in the world and have people like your icons, you people you love.
Yeah.
Do things that they did for me, like what Jim Lee did for me. Like I got death stares from people because what he did. But I mean, and with Silver Street, just great stories, and that kind of like that's why I told people before when I was younger. I'm like, you know what? When I get that spot, I gotta be like them. Like you're great icons in comic industries, and you always don't always see it. Like Frank Mimo, it's not as what it used to be. There, like you don't stand in line too much for autographs. I kind of noticed that at conventions. They're not sitting and waiting for panels, but I think it should come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Back and done. Absolutely. I mean, people need to get like the rock star situation again, so people can feel inspired and work. I mean. Frank Miller walks to the bathroom smoking cigarettes in the bathroom, and people are calling him. He's still signing autographs on the way to and the way out and in the bathroom. I'm like, he's like, I'm done my hours here. Let me go meet you in the lobby. I'll keep signing. I'm gonna be that guy. Who's, you know what? Because you missed my time doesn't mean I'm not gonna sign for you.
Yeah,
I'll be eating spaghetti dinners, signing autographs while you're bugging me. Yep, it's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it very much because they're making your dreams come true. They're making your living come true. So that's my goal still is like get that level of like. Yes, I mean my hamburger, but come on. I got how many let's go. Bryan.
I love
Thanks for buying the Atonement Saga. Yes, we're happy. Issue 100. Thanks for buying issue 100. Thank you. Yes.
I love it, guys. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining the World at War Comics podcast. I really would love to do this again as you guys get closer to that first issue in the Kickstarter.
I've never done this before. This is awesome to me.
Oh, it's awesome, man. So I love just talking comics, man. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll throw how people could follow you in the comment section of our YouTube page. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. It was a lot of fun. We wish you the very best. And if there's anything I could ever do, man, just let me know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet, gentlemen. Have a great week. All right.
You too.
All right. Talk soon.